You don't want that. So it's one of the things that is very important to focus on. The other key point is, like Tim was saying at the beginning, pricing strategy needs to be codified and communicated clearly across the business. Everyone needs to be aligned. Everyone needs to be pointing in the same direction. The biggest problems that I've seen happen have been where one person thinks that we're targeting volume, so at any cost, let's drop our prices and go for it. One person thinks they're going for another target, and everyone just ends up in a mess. And where possible, use some data, use some numbers. Even if it's not perfect, it helps. Now, I've put in a couple of considerations here, and given my limited knowledge of the arts, it's probably not the comprehensive set, but the thinking I had was around, what are the objectives for your particular organization? Being a non-for-profit, that's actually very difficult to articulate in a mathematical sense, but it's a very worthwhile exercise. In terms of your internal policies, how do you intend to distribute subsidies, and are you willing to distribute subsidies? And this is an example that I've had in the insurance industry was young male drivers always complain about getting a very bad price, but they're actually being subsidized by the rest of the portfolio. It's just that they're very bad drivers when they're 23. Now, that subsidy, the size of that subsidy is a sensitive issue, and so a very useful exercise that I've gone through is actually getting people to agree on what they're comfortable with. Are we going to have any people on our book that are actually losing us money, or do we have to have a minimum margin and things like that? How you define an efficiently used venue? This comes into just some basic governance around. Do we always want to have sold-out venues, or is there a target number where a lot of people would say if you're always sold out, then you're missing out on a revenue opportunity, particularly with the inelastic people that Tim was referring to earlier. And lastly, how aggressively do you want to execute these changes? I think everyone's tendency is to either be on one extreme or the other. We either go for it all out, or we just hold off. But eventually consumers' tendencies will catch up, and that level of aggressiveness needs to be set out and something that people are comfortable with. And eventually you do stuff up, everyone does, but once you've accepted that that's part of the journey, then that's an okay thing. And then